Hello, everybody. We're here for the Mexico Study Abroad info meeting for faculty. So we'll start with introductions, and then Paul will give the information out to you all. So my name's Megan Swanson. I'm Assistant Director of International Education. I've been doing study abroad role here for several years now, and I will let Andres go next.
Thank you, Megan. My name is Andres Montaño. I'm International Program Manager here at Green River College. I'm excited for this opportunity as a Latino myself. So yeah, let's hear Paul, I guess.
All right. Well, again, my name is Paul Sanchez. I'm the director for international education here at college and study abroad. I'm the director for study abroad. That's one of the hats that I also carry. And today we're going to be talking about a new opportunity for a faculty-led study abroad program in Mexico. So this target launch date would be winter quarter 2026. So we have a lot of time to prepare, organize, structure, and look at some proposals from you and your departments. So that's the target launch date. This would be a hybrid program model for about a 6-week study in Mexico and 4 weeks here. So maybe 2 weeks in the beginning, 6 weeks, 2 weeks at the end. We have 7 institutes that are, or universities, I should say, that are keen on hosting us. I'm going to put that in the chat below. You can take a look at that. But the universities listed are Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla, Universidad de las Américas Puebla. For the top 2 are that I just mentioned are in Puebla, Mexico. The third one is Tecnológico de Monterrey, and that has 2 campuses, one in Mexico City and then another one in Monterrey, Mexico. The next one is Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México, and that's in Mexico City. The last one is Universidad Marista de Mérida, and that's in Mérida, which is in the Yucatan region. Maybe about an hour flight from Cancun. And the last one is the Universidad Autónoma de Yucatan, and that's in a similar region. So we have some interests. I'll be going to Mexico a couple weeks for a quick site visit at two of the institutions in Puebla. So that's the Benemérita Universidad Autónoma and UDLAP, meaning Universidad de las Américas de Puebla. So I'll be visiting to do a site visit. I go back to Mexico in end of September to do some of my high school visits, but I will be going over to the additional 5 other campuses to take a look, do site visits, and find what would be the best campus for us to host this Mexico faculty-led study abroad, and find that ideal place for our students and to get an affordable price to make sure that our students can all access this program. We're trying to make it as cost effective as possible, so we can get a lot more students included to be able to join on this great opportunity. So we're looking for a faculty member who can offer 2 courses totaling between 7 to 10 credits, I believe, for the cohort, and would be enhanced with on-site learning opportunities in Puebla. There, they would be taking 55 hours of English, I'm sorry, of Spanish language instruction. And yeah, that's the program that we got going on, that we're trying to start and get off the ground here with Green River. And potentially, if this takes off and gets popular as I anticipate it to be, they could potentially become a WICSA program where more students will be coming on, and exciting opportunity. Let's see, do we have any questions? Or if Megan, if you want to add a little bit to this as well.
Yeah, I might just say a little bit about WICSA and how that relationship works. So that stands for the Washington State Community College Consortium for Study Abroad. It's a mouthful, so we just call it WICSA for short. And so that's a consortium of 20 community colleges in the state. And together we pool our students and advertise the same study abroad programs to them for the ones that we agree on. So some of them, like the Japan and Australia and New Zealand ones, those are run by Green River, but they are voted in and approved as an affiliate program by the WICSA consortium. So they have to vote, a majority vote, to approve it, to be offered, and for them to agree to open it up and market it to their students. Some colleges offer their own internal programs and they don't turn them into affiliate programs because they're able to fill them and run them with enough demand from their own college campus. So the advantage, of course, of becoming an affiliate program is that we can gather more students, which helps the program, be able to be sustained and run. So in general, the way study abroad here at Green River works is that it's fully funded by the student fees. So the program fees that we advertise to students has to fully fund all of the expenses, including the faculty, travel and accommodations expenses on the program. So there is no subsidized funding that comes from the other side of the house in IP or from the college general budget. All of it is generated and sustained by the student fees. So that's something that's really important to keep in mind as we build the programs and faculty think about, what do I want to include in terms of excursions? We try to keep a balance of, robust, but also affordable for the students. So that's about WICSA. And so they have requirements that we've either done a site visit or that we've run the program successfully once on our campus before they will consider voting to approve it. So the great thing is that Paul's already going to do these site visits this fall. So it has potential, but I can't speak for the whole consortium and I can't comment if they would vote to approve it or not. There's a lot of factors that goes into that decision-making process, but we are very well versed in knowing how to meet their criteria. So we'll do our very best. And again, that just helps the program be more likely to succeed.
Right. And also, when we start programs, I've noticed they want to jump on. So just like the study abroad Korea that we just started last year and a little pilot program, and now we have 23 students jumping on this program. So I feel that this would definitely reach across Washington State. So.
Yeah, and we chose winter because that's the one quarter where currently there's only one WICSA-wide program that is offered, and that's our Australia New Zealand one. Every other quarter in the year, there's 2 programs already being offered. So this has less competition, also a good time of year to leave Washington State. Yeah, so that's about that. I see Andres put some suggestions in the chat for topics. Paul, you could maybe address.
Yeah, okay, safety. Well, let's see, the Yucatan region, very tourism friendly, beautiful, accommodating for foreigners. Puebla is the same. They're used to hosting international students, faculty from around the world, not an issue in Puebla. Mexico City as well. Has had that rep of being like a dangerous city and such, but it's not like you're going to be going over to the favela areas and where crime is there. Where these universities are more in the nicer suburbs area in Mexico City, specifically the Tecnológico de Monterrey that's in Mexico City is in a very high-end area. And then the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico also is not in a ghetto area. It's actually a really nice area. So safety, well, it also depends on you, unless you're out about and being out and bars and cantinas and doing bad things, that should not be the issue. You're there as a faculty member, there enjoy the culture and learn a lot, but also making sure that the students are safe and taken care of. So safety wise, it should be. And also these particular areas are not in more of the dangerous areas. So, for example, like right now in the area of Guanajuato, it is a lot more dangerous. Like the threat level has increased out there, but these regions are in safe zone. Missions besides teaching. Well, let's see. You'd be an organizer. You'd be a mentor. You'd be obviously the students' go-to person if there was an issue, an emergency. You're dealing with, you know, sometimes people go through homesickness, some culture shock, and being able to address the needs of those students. The facilities that we would be using, I'm sorry, the universities, I've already vetted to make sure that they have, you know, accommodations on campus, that they have homestay opportunities. Faculty would also have, you know, nicer accommodations, but would need to do some check-ins on the students to make sure that, you know, they're not destroying the dormitories and such, or partying too much, and, you know, kind of keeping an eye on the students, their safety, their well-being, their mental health. So besides being an instructor, you would be responsible for monitoring and making sure students are all in class, or doing homework in like you normally do in class, but also checking the pulse of how they're feeling. You know, are they going through any stress, anxiety, making sure that they're attending the excursions that they need to go on, and if they're not, you know, obviously following up with them. Is there anything I'm missing, Megan or Andres?
We do ask that faculty, if you haven't taught on a study abroad program with us before, take a training before you go. And we do that with, you know, the VP of Student Affairs and a representative from the Counseling Center and somebody from the BIT team, just to make sure you feel aware of possible scenarios and look at some case studies of things that have happened to students, and then go over the policies and procedures of how you should respond to different types of issues. We have a Canvas course shell just for faculty with some of those key information. So the emergency policy and procedure document is located in there, and just like phone numbers of the local embassies, things like that, so that it's always available to you. And so, yeah, as Paul said, this is a kind of a 24/7 gig, in that we do expect you to be fully available, at least, you know, via text message to your students, and that you're willing and happy to support their well-being and success both inside and outside the classroom, creating an inclusive environment where they feel safe and able to learn and enjoy themselves in the setting. So there will be on-the-ground support, but it's not like going to a study abroad company where they have a full-time staff of 10 people, you know, ready and waiting to help you. It's sort of in between those. And that's what Paul's going to be looking for partly on his site visits too, is their capacity to support and assist, and how much coordination can they give us in terms of helping set up field trips and, you know, getting bus passes and tickets to things. Sometimes our faculty need to do that themselves, and sometimes the host is able to do it.
Yeah, I'll let Georgina if she has any question, but if not, I have another one. I guess I can make the question.
Pop them out.
All right, Georgina, well, I can do mine. What does the proposal for the, you know, faculty proposal should look like, or what are we looking for? I guess that's a good question, or something that I'd like to.
So we would follow the faculty application process that WICSA uses, again, so that we're in line with their requirements. So that application looks like, you know, your CV, of course, a proposal for up to 3 classes that you feel comfortable and confident that you could teach on this program. And we would only select 2 of them, but we'd like to see 3 options so that we can choose from them what we think makes the best sense for the students, and a description of how you would tie that class to the local environment. How are you going to customize it and make it make sense for being taught in that location? So we don't want to just see the you know, copy paste description from the course catalog, but your description of how it's integrated. And then we have about 5 knowledge, skills, and abilities questions that we ask, and they're pretty short, you know, a couple paragraphs to answer each one, about how you've cared for students or supported students outside of a classroom setting, how you've been able to support students who are underrepresented or may have special needs, and kind of what you would bring back from the experience and be able to contribute to your department or your classes or the campus community at large. So those are the types of things we were going to be asking for. This is more of a customized program opportunity. It's not like slotting into a fixed one. So there's a little bit more room for creativity and kind of teamwork on building that out together. And then we do, you know, a screening process where the International Education Committee reviews all of the applications first. Then they let our team in International Ed know their preferred applicants, or at least give us a sort of the pros and cons of each one. And then in the interview, we will ask for a teaching demonstration for about 20 minutes to kind of give us a little snippet of a lesson plan that you would teach in Mexico, and treat us as your students. So, you know, it should be interactive and student level appropriate, so that we can get a glimpse into your teaching style and what it would look like, you know, and how it would be tied to the location and the subject matter. So that's kind of the proposal and application process. We are starting this process early, and the idea is that applications will be due in the fall quarter of this year, fall 2024, with our goal that we select and announce the faculty member by December of 2024, so that we have one full year from that point to then really build out and promote the program. In our experience, we need 1 year to market a program in order to attract enough students to sign up for the first go of it. There always is a minimum number of students needed to run a program as well. And so if we aren't able to get that many students to sign up for the first time, you know, we may have to cancel it, and then we try again the second year. And usually by then, word of mouth spreads broader and people have more time to plan, prepare, apply for scholarships. You know, so this is a longer term investment. When we're looking at starting up a program, we intend for it to last, you know, for a couple years. I'm sure some of you have seen the recent calls for proposals for Japan or Australia that ask for a 3-year commitment. We haven't, you know, set a firm number on that, but I'd say, Paul, probably at least 2 years minimum.
Yeah, at least 2.
Yeah, because you need that time to learn from your first time and then repeat again. We can also think about ideas like alternating it every other year, so that it's not such a big strain on your work-life balance here on campus. So like I said, it's still in the development phases. So we just wanted to, you know, be as transparent early in the process and gather your questions. And the idea is that after this call, if you're interested and you think you might have, you know, some classes that would fit, or maybe you want to even develop a brand new course and you think you can do that in time, you know, let's talk. So that will be kind of the next steps, would be an invitation to reach out to Paul for that initial brainstorm conversation.
So yeah, any proposal that you have, you can send it over. We'll talk it over. We can go through it together and you know, try and fine tune it to see. But I think this is going to be a very so going to be a really good opportunity for you all as a faculty member to lead a program like this, and also it'll be extremely beneficial for our students. They'll be able to get language instruction, you know, the 2 class credits from you all. It's going to be a great program. So, and being in close proximity to the United States, yeah, this is just an easy one. So, any questions, any specific needs and such, please reach out.
So I do actually have some questions, and I can unmute since I'm off the freeway.
Okay. There we go.
So So I had a couple questions. So first off, would the 6 weeks be at the beginning or the end of the quarter? I'm going to be relaying this information to fellow adjuncts.
Great. Okay, so we would do 2 weeks here, 6 weeks there, and then 2 weeks to finalize the end of the quarter.
And so the language portion of that, would that start also at Green River, or like, you know, maybe via virtual or whatever, or would that so there would be a language component that would be offered as well?
Yes.
Okay.
But not here. It would be all
There, all 55 hours would
on-site,
be
at the
yeah.
host
on-site at the host
institution.
institution.
Okay. And so then I had some questions specifically about El DF, which neighborhoods, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that very well.
Oh, I don't
were
have the
mentioned.
name of the colonia, the names of the neighborhoods, but they are in non-dangerous
Mm.
favela neighborhoods. Okay, they're far away. The campus has, well, the ones in Puebla, well, obviously it's very safe out there.
Yes, I'm
Mexico
familiar
City,
with
well, yeah,
with
because
the
as I mentioned
beautiful.
before, you
Mhm.
know, there has been, you know, back years ago, a lot of crime was going on there. They've cleaned up and have redeveloped a lot of they gentrified a lot of the neighborhoods. And yeah, the campuses, I've
Mhm.
been to the campuses before, but I just don't know the name of the neighborhood. It's been years.
Because
But
that actually would be something I'd be interested in knowing. Actually,
yeah, I'll
you know,
find
like
those. Yeah.
I know La Condesa, I know
Oh yeah.
Polanco, I
Right.
know Miscuac. So
yeah, those are all the nice places where all the tourists go and such like that. But yeah, it's gonna be in
actually that's where I lived
not
and
a
I worked.
not a high end area like that, but it would
Okay.
be like, you know, middle class area.
Mhm.
So yeah. But I'll
I
send
can see that there are 4 campuses from
yeah.
that particular
This particular one
DF.
though, in DF, yeah, they have various different campuses, but the main one, I don't know the Colonia name, but I'll get that out too.
Okay. That'd be wonderful. And I have a suggestion. If you do go through UNAM, that I'm not sure if you're familiar with their Centro de Educación de Lenguas Extranjeras is phenomenal. And which is an
yeah.
offset of that, and they had an amazing
But now.
different excursions.
Mm.
I would really recommend that at UNAM.
Yeah,
They
this
did
is one of ours. It's one that we've been
excursions.
chatting with. We just got to make that right price, you know, want to get it as affordable as possible.
Right.
Students.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And so then also,
sorry, there's another one in Monterrey, the Tecnológico de Monterrey.
yes,
That's there's the one in, you know, Ciudad de Mexico, but then there's also the campus in Monterrey. So that one.
Yeah, I also knew professors from, what was it, like La Universidad de las Américas. I knew professor that actually went to that language school with me.
Really?
They were fellow classmates. Yes, and so also I was wondering, when you were mentioning the Canvas shell, is that something that could be viewed by potential applicants? Do you have example applications for previous, programs that have gone? Yeah, I was just wondering if those sorts of things could be made available to applicants, just to demystify the process, and then of course the compensation package.
The Canvas shell, I don't know if it would be super helpful to a prospective person, but we could email out a Word copy of the emergency procedures so that you can look through that. And then, okay, as far as sample applications, yeah, we could probably consider trying to anonymize some. Maybe they wouldn't, obviously it wouldn't be for Mexico, but we could borrow from some, previous programs. You can get an idea of what that looks like. And then what
We
was the
can ask the
third?
professors like that have submitted,
Yeah, if they give their
application if they're
permission to
willing
share.
to, share, which I'm
Mhm.
sure
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
And then what's
Okay.
compensation package. So we do usually publish that in the official call for proposals, like we did last time with Japan one.
Mhm.
So we say, okay, you get paid for instruction, right? Your regular teaching salary for teaching those classes, and then you get a stipend of a certain amount that is currently TBD because it's going to depend on which city it's in, and the cost of living there. But it's just a stipend for the extra coordination work that you need to do and acknowledgement of the extra hours that you'll spend before and during the program. So there is that goes along with that an expectation that you will help market and promote the program, leading up to it, because you're going to be kind of one of the experts in what to expect and get students excited about how you're going to teach it. And so that coordination stipend is for that. So yeah, we're still a little early. So I think after the summer, we can publish that amount with that stipend, and then so traditionally there is no per diem. We provide your housing, and then if meals are provided to the students, they'll also be provided to faculty, but if not, then not. And we will also, the Green River Foundation will pay for your insurance, which is like travel medical insurance during the program. Does that
Okay, and
answer?
yes, it does. But also I was wondering, regarding the housing for students, is it typical that for the programs, the international programs, that it is not through a host family, it is more in sort of a dorm setup at the host institution, is that correct?
It totally varies.
Hmm.
Host stay versus dorms. It depends what they have capacity for. Paul, did you get an
Yeah,
idea?
so for UDLA, the two in Puebla, they have dormitories. That's why, especially why I wanted to go visit those ones first. Just because sometimes homestay
And housing.
and housing, exactly. So those two, they're set. For the ones in Mexico City, when I was speaking to their coordinator, I can't remember which one had homestay families and which was more dormitory. And the other two programs in the Yucatan region, they had both. So I'm a little unclear about the Mexico City if they only offer homestay and or dormitories, and that's what I'm going to follow up.
Okay, thank you. Those are my predominant questions there.
Questions,
And
Regina? Thank you.
yeah, one more recommendation. You need to go to in Miscuac, Centro Educativo de Jean Piaget, not Jean Piaget, but Jean Piaget, and Colegio de Boston. I forget which colonia that was in, but those are places where students likely would want to come to Green River.
Oh, they would want to come study at Green River.
Can you put that in the chat?
Oh, yeah,
Because
that'd be
the
great.
French part I did not know how to. I was
Yeah,
like,
that'd be great, Georgina. A little
I
later.
think Piaget would have rolled over knowing that he was always called Piaget, but there you go.
Yeah, hey. Okay, good to know. Good to know. I might have a little side chat with you later about that. Because I gotta go there anyway. So yeah.
It's good. Well, since they're talking about housing and obviously like the faculty will have their own like, sort of apartment. Not mixed with students.
Yes, yes.
So that's important to note.
Privacy is important, yes.
Yep. Jean Piaget, okay. Thank you. In Colegio de Boston, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Miscuac. That one's Miscuac. And then I think it's Colegio or Instituto de Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, since you're very familiar with the area, if you can tie like specific locations that you may want to visit with students into your classes, that that's an extra
Okay,
plus.
that's an extra plus right there. If you already
yeah,
know what
for
types of
your-
activities and things
Yeah,
you
your
want.
proposals.
Yeah, for sure. As an insider tip, we look for that in the application, like some specific field trips that you would integrate into your class based on, whichever city or, university is chosen. We want to see that you've done that prior research, and put that forethought in to explore, what the experience will look like for your students, and even maybe, an example of an assignment that would be used in, to complement that trip, that outing.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Good point, guys. I don't know. Are there any other questions, concerns?
I put it on the chat, but also like we do, as Megan mentioned, we market the program a lot, and sometimes we ask for help for the particular faculty who's leading the program to help us market, in their classes or their events. But also we do a pre-departure orientation a couple months before, or month and a half before departure, and it's usually on Saturdays, and it's kind of like a half-day thing, and faculty members that are leading the program are expected to participate. So that's kind of like part of the expectations for these type of programs.
Yeah, and is that compensated? That time is compensated through the coordination stipend. So it's a lump sum stipend amount. It's not an hourly, tracked compensation model.
Questions?
All right. In terms of, moving forward, obviously Paul has to do the site visits and figure out which location is going to be the best. But if you're watching this and excited about the idea, I would say, send us an email and let us know, you're interested, and here's kind of your initial thoughts and ideas. And then maybe we can set up a 30-minute chat just to talk through your ideas before we actually publish the official, call for proposals with the job description included in it. Like I said, that will come out. I mean, it's going to come out in summer for any early birds to watch your inbox for that. But then we'll also resend it at the beginning of fall, and announce what the deadline will be in mid-fall. The deadline will be in mid-fall. So that's why we wanted to get the word out now before everybody goes on summer break, so that you can kind of be mulling this over and thinking about it. If we can get the call out, any sooner, we certainly will, but we want to make sure you have as much information as possible about, the location and what services will be provided by the host before we do that. Paul, anything you want to add?
Submit your proposals. This is going to be a great opportunity. You guys are going to dig on it. It's going to be a good program, well structured, and yeah, students are going to love it.
Yeah, I guess one last thing I should mention, especially for newer faculty, that all faculty types are eligible to apply, and there is a document that was approved by IC like a year ago that outlines that eligibility requirements. So we can certainly circulate that again, because I'm sure it's not at the top of anybody's inbox. Yeah, so I just want to make sure everybody knows adjuncts are also eligible to apply. All right, we'll go ahead and stop the recording then.
All right.